Pedro from A&P-REACTS. I'm here today with Jocke from Amon Amarth. How's it going?
Doing well. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me about your 5 most influential drummers. And before we get started, Happy New Year.
Thank you. And likewise to you and your family.
Before we talk about the 5 drummers that you feel are the ones that really influence you in becoming the drummer that you are today, let's go back a little bit before that. Was drums always the first instrument that you gravitated to, or was there something else that you tried out before finalizing yourself as a drummer?
By interest, drums was first. By force, we had to learn to play the flute in school, but I don't think that counts too much. But when I got into music in general, I jumped into the world of drumming straight away. So that was my first, and is pretty much the only instrument I can play.
What was the reaction from your parents? Because drums, normally, when you think of drums as a kid, you think of a lot of noise in the house. At least that's what I think. So how was your parents' reaction when you told them, I want to be a drummer?
Well, first of all, they didn't know because I practiced like in school for graduation in 9th grade, I think. So they didn't know that I was interested in playing drums at all. But then when they saw me perform at that graduation, they were like, okay, this is what you're going to do now, I guess. So they helped me save up to a drum kit, and I had it in our living room at home, which wasn't ideal at all, but they let me play, you know, in the free hours of school when I could come home and play, because I didn't have too far to my school, so I could just run home and play. But I was not allowed to play, you know, during the evenings or early mornings or such, just during the days when the neighbors were at work and so on. But they have been really supportive all the way.
Did you get lessons, or you were kind of like self-taught? You just learn from watching other people, and you know, you had that in you?
I never took real lessons. You know, I never had an instructor or anything. Of course, we had the basics in school. You have to learn how to keep the beat, have to learn the subdivisions and everything like that, like theory, like basic theory for every instrument. So that's pretty much all education I have. And then in high school, I have a friend, his name is Christopher, by the way, who told me, like, okay, if you want to learn this, listen to this song and try to imitate. And also he gave me like a few hints and tips and tricks during our breaks in school for a year, but it wasn't like lessons, just like friendly guidance.
Friendly guidance, yeah. I can see that. At what point in time do you feel like you became a drummer? Because in the beginning, you're probably, you know, you're obviously, there's an evolution from the point you started to the point where you are now. But at what point in time do you feel, or how long did it take you to be in a position where you felt like, you know what, I could drum for a band?
Pretty early in our well, when I started playing in general, we wanted to be in a band. We wanted to be like Slipknot, you know. We were like, yeah, fuck this world and everything like that. So we started up a band. I think it was pretty quick, like first year of high school. Me and my friends had a band that we played in, which is only, well, it was the year after the graduation that I surprised my parents. So I have always had a band to play with, but I had no idea that I could be professional, you know. It just happened. So yeah, I'm really grateful for my friends, you know, that wanted to have a band with me so we could live out our our fantasies in a band, you know.
How surreal is that for you to look back at that time and then look at yourself now when you go on stage in a big festival or during a tour? Do you sometimes Does your mind travel back to those days and you think to yourself, wow, man, I really came a long way?
Not really, no. Of course, I think of it from time to time, especially when I meet those friends, you know, when we grab a beer at home or just, I don't know, hang out. Uh, but yeah, everyone is grown up and have their own family now. So it's like we don't meet up as much as we used to, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But by then, of course, we talk about the old good days, good old days. And yeah, and sometimes in interviews people reminds me like, do you remember your first band, do you remember your first performance, first drum solo? And when they ask me that, that takes me back, you know, that really, yeah, gets the memory going, so to speak.
Yeah, allows you to travel back in time.
Yeah, but I mean, just being at home or being on tour normally, I don't think of it too much. I just try to enjoy the current day, you know, with the
Yeah,
current events.
living in the day, living in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, of course, you should always cherish your origin, so to speak. You know, like where did I come from? I come from a, well, we weren't super rich, we weren't poor, we were just like middle class family, and of course, I treasure the way I was raised and the way my friends treated me and everything. So everything has led up to this point. So, you know, yeah.
It's an evolutional process.
Yeah, of course.
So at what point, so let's talk about the 5 drummers that you feel are the biggest influences on you. And let's start off with Dave Mackintosh. At what point do you feel like he came in and became a little bit of who you are now as a drummer?
First of all, I have always wanted to be like a fast drummer, like a super fast. I wanted to be the fastest one around when we started up with our bands, and I wanted to be the one drummer that all the bands come to and ask if I could play for them. So I started practicing speed, and Dave he's a really fast drummer. His work in Balsagoth and of course in Dragon Force are, I would say, groundbreaking when we're talking about speed, you know, speed and fast fills and fast kick drums and everything. So he was my main guy to listen to and try to imitate when I wanted to learn how to play fast. And he came around, well, he and Dragon Force came into my life around 2002, 3 maybe, something like that. So yeah, he's been around and yeah, came into my life pretty early. So yeah.
Did you, when you're looking at the way he plays and the speed and the style that he uses, did you want to at the beginning perhaps imitate, or did you always want to take something from it, create your own style, something that would fit you better, so that you could have that speed, you could have that approach, but in your own kind of way and not necessarily the way he does it?
Well, at first it was, of course, the way he does it. That's the first step, I think, for every drummer. Like, you want to play as your favorite drummer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did that. I copied him pretty much, yeah, pretty much everything he did. You know, the fills and the speed. But then, as with every drummer in this list, I, you know, took it to my heart and tried to be like, how could I have done this particular part that I'm playing right now? How could I have done it better, but like still keep the speed and the feeling of the song with me? But yeah, to answer the question, I would probably say I just copied him straight away. And then like 10 years after I discovered them, then I realized, I could probably do it this way, you know, trying to be more creative in my own.
Yeah, try to morph it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I would say it was around 2010, 11, 12, somewhere where I hate to say in general that I have a specific type of playing, but that's when I got comfortable in my way of playing. So that's when I started to develop my own stuff, I think.
Yeah, you start to feel comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
You also have on your list Uli Kusch, and that's an interesting one because he has a very interesting style, very interesting way of playing.
Yes.
What was it about him specifically that attracted you?
His creativity, straight away. He's so creative. His flow and his fills in, well, mainly Halloween, but also in Masterplan. I mean, some things doesn't. I mean, the things he does is super, not always complicated, but it's super creative. Well, of course, there are songs he just plays a normal beat to the actual song, but some things he does is just, I don't know, there's something about it that I have a hard time placing it, you know,
It's
because
just that it factor.
yeah, it's just it's I would say sometimes he does stuff that doesn't really fit to the riff or the song, but the way he does it, that actually fits, you know. But if I would have done it, it would just be chaos, probably. So the way he did it, and because he did it very early in the in the power metal days, that's his signature, you know. It marks him as probably the most creative power metal drummer there is. So yeah, his creativity was the main thing that I fell in love with in general.
Is there something about power metal drummers that makes them a little bit different from let's say a death metal drummer or classic heavy metal drummer or any other kind of drummer?
I don't know, to be honest. I think in power metal it's more about speed, I think. And sometimes, I mean, there are bands that have drummers that are really creative and it suits the music and the style. But most of the bands, well, not gonna drag all the bands down the same slope, but yeah, it's just 16 notes, you know, all through the songs, and there's nothing special. But it fits the song and it fits the music, so it's nothing wrong with it. But there are those few drummers that stand out, and Uli Kusch is really one of those guys because yeah, as I mentioned, he plays stuff that I wouldn't even think of coming up with, you know.
That creative aspect is mixed with his playing. The two things is really what stands out for him in your mind, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Another name that you have on the list is Jörg, another power metal drummer, if you will.
Yes.
What about him that you thought was interesting that you wanted to emulate?
First of all, it was the sound of his drumming or his drums in the early, well, mid-aged Stratovarius albums, I would say, because it's so powerful, but it's still so strict, you know. It's this Rammstein feeling to it, but somehow he does stuff, especially his fills, of course, that just flows. In for me, it's like a, what do you say? It's like a harmonic way, you know, in a very spiritual, not spiritual, but almost there way. And I don't know, it just, his drumming combined with the music of Stratovarius, just, I don't know, just it just works, you know. Even though he's super tight and he hits really hard, and it fits. But also, when I was in high school, I I came up with my dream drum setup. So I opened up. I was in a graphical design class, by the way. So I drew my favorite drum kit, you know, in a 3D perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, when I was done with that project, I was like, huh, this kit is the kit of Jörg Michael. And that was just subconsciousness, you know. I didn't even plan on drawing his kit out. It was just the way I wanted to have my kit, with a pretty flat snare, 2 rack toms, 2 floor toms, and crashes pretty high. And yeah, and then I realized, huh, he has
really
that drum kit that I want, you know. And yeah, so maybe it was just my subconscious that just loved it from the beginning because of that, or the other way around. I don't know. It's really
interesting. I mean, it's really interesting that without thinking about it, you drew it, and then it turns out to be that specific kit. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's super weird, but that's the way it was.
When you look at these drummers, the 3 that we mentioned so far, they're all great in their own individual way. Do you think that what took them to the next level was also being the right fit in the right band that had the right sound for them? Do you think that played a role?
Absolutely, totally. I mean, Halloween would probably have been as big as they are now with another drummer at that time, but I don't think they would have. Well, okay, let's phrase it like this. They would have been big, but I don't think they would have been as big, you know, because if they would have played without Uli. And same with Masterplan, I don't think they would have been as big as well. Dragon Force would not have been as successful if they didn't have a super fast and super tight drummer. Yeah, the same with Stradivarius. I just think it's a perfect fit at the perfect time, you know.
Mm-hmm. And another name on your list, I mean, there's really I'm starting to see a pattern here. So another name on your list is Daniel Zimmermann, another power metal guy.
Yeah.
I start to get a feel like you like the speed, you like the power, the intensity, and that's really gravitated towards these drummers.
Yeah, Daniel has been a favorite of mine for a long time. I think Gamma Ray was one of the first power metal bands that I discovered. And yeah, it was Daniel behind the kit. And sometimes when I play at home, well, not at home, but in my drum rehearsal room, I still go back to those albums and I still try to copy what he did. And maybe it's because I'd never really cared about copying him back then. I just enjoyed his playing. So now I have to like catch up and in learning his stuff. But yeah, the way he played, and he had a similar setup as Jörg Michael as well. You know, 2 rack toms, 2 floor toms, and it was just yeah. There's something about that 90 early 2000 power metal drum sound that
I'm getting that feel.
Like. Yeah.
I'm getting that feel like that specific era of power metal really influenced you as a drummer.
Oh yeah, totally. That was the only thing I listened to for, I don't know, 15 years. No, not 15, but yeah, let's say 13, 14 years at least.
Was that the golden age for that genre?
I think so, yeah. Mid 90s to, let's say, 2010-ish. Yeah, totally, yeah. There are many albums that I still listen to in power metal that comes from that time era. So yeah, that was the golden age.
Before we talk about the last name on your list, I want to ask you this, because we're talking about drummers and influencing the sound of the band, but the band also influencing who they are as drummers. For you, when you got into Amon Amarth, did you feel a little bit of pressure? Did you feel like, you know, these songs already existed before me, now I'm coming in, I have to take them on? Do I take them on as they were, or do I take them on as I would play them? How did you approach that?
Uh, Actually, I asked the band, how do you want me to play these songs? And the answer I got was, play them your way. But since Amon Amarth has some very specific drum parts, you can't mess them up somehow. You can't do too much about it, because when people when people see those songs live, they know, oh, now this part comes, especially the drummers who's watching, and it has to be the same but with my touch.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't play everything exactly as it's recorded, but I would say I play it like 90% at least as it is, because of those signature stuff that has to be there.
Do you switch it around a little bit from show to show? Like, do you give yourself some freedom that, man, I really feel like doing this right now, and I'm just going to go with it, you know?
Yeah. yeah. Of course I do. I mean, to a certain limit, of course. You can't just start doing blast beats in Cry of the Blackbirds. You know, it has to be this backbeat. But yeah, of course. And some things I save, you know, because I think they fit, and in my perspective, they improve the song. But some things are like, that wasn't too cool, I'm just gonna skip that idea, you know. But of course, I mess around with a lot of stuff, but mainly the more basic beats, you know. It's not like that I try to do another kind of fill somewhere where it's supposed to be another fill. It's just that I, you know, maybe if the beat is just straight 4/4, then I try to add maybe a kick pattern or add some extra ride hits or some accents and whatnot, you know, just to spice it up a bit. Because when you play the same songs day out, well, night after night, you know, I wouldn't say get boring, because I love playing drums, but some songs are too repetitive. So that's where I like, okay, I have to do something here or I will fall asleep, you know. So it's just like, okay, cool. And then I just, okay, this might be cool. And then you just do it. And it's like, and then it's a hit or miss.
Do you have a favorite live song that you like, you know, it's coming on the set list, so you're like, oh yeah, I'm getting hyped for this one. This is my absolute favorite.
Yes, I would say War of the Gods is my top song to play, my favorite one. Because it has everything, you know. It has a fast backbeat pattern, it has a fast kicks, it has a slow part, it has choirs and orchestrations and awesome fills as well. So it's just a perfect song for me to play.
Gives you a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Gives you a little bit of everything. Now, the last name on your list that I want to mention, I don't think it should be a surprise to anybody who's been listening to this conversation, because you mentioned very early in our chat the band Slipknot. So Joey Jordison, this name shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that this name is on the list, and the only one that doesn't fit that power metal mode that we were all the way through. Slipknot and Joey, what kind of impact? I'm sure it had an impact early on, because you mentioned the band really early on when you started playing drums. But has that impact been an impact that's been long lasting with you all the way until now?
Long lasting, no. Well, it was a long time in the beginning. I would say I was obsessed. I was going to say possessed, but I mean obsessed, of course, by Joey. I had posters. I made my own masks. We went to masquerades in the city where we dressed up as the Slipknot members. And
have you pitched the idea to the guys in Amon Amarth about doing a drum kit that moves around? Have you pitched them that
we spoke about it, but it was mostly for fun. I think I'm on my limit of what do you say, showmanship when I'm 5 meters up in the air already. So I
That's true. I mean, last time I saw you, you were on top of the Viking helmet with the horns and stuff. So you're
yeah,
already pretty high up there.
yeah. I don't know when you saw us, but for the last tour we improved it. Oh yeah, that was in Europe only. Sorry. So
Yeah, I saw you
I
guys last year. Well, not last year, 2019,
yeah.
the North American tour with Arch Enemy at the Gates and Grand Magus.
Yeah, yeah. That was a fixed drum riser. It didn't move or anything. I was just on top of the helmet there. So that's I don't know how high it is. I think the drum riser is 140 or 160 meters. But in Europe we added a hydraulic lift to it, so it takes me 5 meters up in 2 or 3 songs. So that's about as much excitement I want to have, you know.
That's as much airtime you want. You don't want to be any higher than that.
Oh no, and try to add spinning on top of that. That would just be crazy. I mean, if we could go like this, horizontal, that would be fine. But like vertical, nah. that's,
I was actually thinking of a shield that would rotate around, and you would rotate around in the shield, and then hammers could go. Not hammers. Axes could come at you and like hit the shield and stuff. I'm overly thinking this.
that would be pretty cool, actually. Yeah. But yeah, Joey Jordison and his spinning wheel he had, that was insane. Actually, it was on the first DVD I saw with him, the Disaster Pieces one, and that DVD has shaped my my way of playing in many ways. I mean, the anger in that DVD is just out of this world. You know, everyone goes onto the show and they want to slay. You know, they really want to not kill everyone, of course, but you know, they want to give it all and be on top of themselves. So I took that energy from that DVD and I tried to put it in my black metal years of playing drums, which I think was pretty good, hopefully. Yeah, but Joe has inspired me a lot. And I actually met him once. We played, what was the event called? Like Golden something in London. And that venue was shit, to be honest. I mean, it was a real fun event, but there was no backstage for all the bands. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll just go to the bus and take a shower, right? So I went straight from the show out through the back door and went to the bus. And I had my pearl my pearl hoodie.
Your pearl t-shirt.
Yeah, but that was the hoodie I had, right? So, and there was a guy coming up to me. He was like, Pearl drums. Yeah, fuck yeah, man. I'm endorsed by Pearl drums as well. I was like, oh yeah, cool, man, cool. I didn't really take notice, you know. But then when I turned my back and walked the next 10 meters, and we had this sensors thingy to the bus, and I put it to the bus, and the doors open. And I was like, huh, I know that guy, and I especially remember his forehead because Joey has a specific forehead.
This story gets better and better.
So I remember that, and I was like, was that really Joey Jordison? What? I mean, he and then I realized it was, you know, and I was like, okay, I can't turn around now because that would just make me look stupid. So I just continued into the bus, and I was like, okay, fuck it, I missed this opportunity, right? That was horrible because he was.
You didn't see him. You didn't see him again?
No. Unfortunately, not, because there was a big after show party in the same venue. And I just wanted to take the shower and get ready and have beers, you know, with all the other bands that was there, and I had no clue that Joey Jordison would be there. And most of all, I had no clue that I would meet him in the parking lot, you know, straight like 5 minutes after the show. It just didn't match up in my head. And that's why I didn't realize it was him. But when I thought of it 1 minute after I entered the bus, I was like, fuck, that was actually Jordison. So I missed the opportunity to talk to one of my favorite drummers in the world. But yeah, hopefully I will meet him again.
Have you, besides him, have you met any of the other guys on your list?
Yeah, I met Jörg Michael because he is now involved in the Wacken organization. So I met him. I did not meet Mackintosh. I have not met Zimmermann, and I have not met Uli Kusch.
There's still time.
Yeah, there is.
And if you see them on outside a bus, you know, just don't go for a shower. Just take a few minutes.
Yeah, I will. I mean, my behavior when I met Joey was really bad as well. I was just very ignorant, and I just wanted to get on the bus and have a shower, which is understandable. But being ignorant like that and just like, okay, hey, cool, man, yeah, congrats, you know, that's not the way to do it. I would, in a retro perspective, I should have stopped. I should have at least introduced myself and asked for his name, you know, being more polite. But in my defense, I really wanted to have that shower so I could go and grab some beers.
But I could also understand where you're coming from, because in your mind, that's the last place you think you're going to run into him or into anybody for that matter.
Yeah, totally.
So you're not in the right state of mind. You know what I mean? Like it's a hard situation to put yourself in. If you were coming out of the bus after the shower, I think the interaction would have been a lot different.
Yes. Yeah, totally. Then I would have at least taken the time. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is, because I would say I'm a nice guy. So I normally actually talk to people who stops me and say, hey, are you that guy? And I was like, yeah, it's me. And then I stop and I have a chat, unless I have to hurry somewhere. So yeah, if I would have come out of the bus already showered and already ready, then I would, yeah, there would have been a different thing. Even if it was him or just some fan that would have, I don't know, somehow entered that area, then I would just stop and talk. But yeah,
now it's something you're going to have to live with forever.
yeah. Every time we come to London or I meet someone outside the bus, I think of it. And there is a lot of times where I meet people outside the bus. And yeah, it haunts me.
I was going to say, the next time you see him, you can always bring up that story. Hey, remember when we met outside that bus in London and I completely gave you the cold shoulder because I needed to get into the bus to take a shower? You can always bring that up. It's a great story starter.
Yeah, it's a great icebreaker for sure. And also telling him that he's one of my favorite drummers, that would probably get his interest as well, you know. But yeah, the story is funny now when we think of it. But that 1 minute after I entered the bus,
it wasn't that funny.
Oh no, total regrets.
I can feel like you still have regret now. Like, I mean, it still bothers you a little bit now.
Yeah,
and to be honest with you, I'm not sure what bothers you the most. The fact that you feel like you were rude, or the fact that you actually didn't get to talk to him. I think you're kind of 50-50.
Yeah, and those 50-50, it adds up to 100. So it's, yeah, it's horrible.
The last thing I want to ask you is, when you look at these five guys and you look at the way you're drumming right now, you yourself as a drummer right now, if you had to say which one of these five guys is you the most, which one would you say it is?
I wouldn't say Uli Kusch because he's just out of this world. I would say I am a mix between Daniel Zimmermann and Dave Mackintosh.
You became a hybrid of those.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Hey, that's also a pretty good hybrid.
Yeah, totally, yeah. But also we have to have in mind that there are a lot of drummers that have influenced me, of course. But these five are, I would say, the most. We have one more. Can I bring him up as well?
Yeah. Who you got?
Well, of course, it's Achilles Priester from Angra. Brazilian guy.
Another power metal. I mean, this is
Yes.
really a theme.
Yeah.
This is really a theme.
Yeah, and his way of playing, he hits really hard, has this super massive drum set, and yeah, it's insane. But there are so many more, you know, Alex Holsworth from Rhapsody, of course, and Daniel from Arch Enemy. I mean, there are so many drummers that should have been on this list, but yeah, we have to scale it down to five.
Yeah, it's hard. And I mean,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of great drummers, and I'm sure for you, as you progress through your career, you're still picking up stuff from other guys and always trying to evolve, always trying to make things better. So if I'm sure if I asked you your list a year from now or 2 years from now, probably some of the names would be slightly different. Not all of them, but some of the names would be slightly different.
Probably, yeah. And this question that you have for me, which is in general, who are your 5 most influential drummers? That's like when I do on Instagram, I do live stuff there, and I get this question a lot, like, who is your favorite drummer? And I don't mind people asking because it's really interesting to know who is whose favorite drummer. But when someone asks me who is your favorite drummer, there's like, okay, I have to answer one, you know. And sometimes people ask me like, who are your 10 favorite drummers? And still I got this question, who are your 25 top drummers? And I was like, it's really, really hard for me to pick 25 top drummers because I listen to, I don't know, 500 bands, and they're all great drummers in their own way.
Yeah.
But if I have to scale it down to 25, I just go to Spotify and take like the most played artists, and then it's like, okay, this guy, and so on, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because I get it. People ask me sometimes, who's your favorite band? It's like it's impossible.
Oh, yeah.
Every day I have a different favorite band.
Yeah, you wake up with one song in your head and it's like, oh, I'm going to listen to this band the entire day, and then that day it's this band that's the favorite one, and
100%.
the next day it's I don't know, Avicii, you know. So
it all depends on your mood, on how you feel that specific day at that specific time. Like you said, you wake up with a song in your head and you can't get rid of that song for whatever reason, so that band stays with you that day. It's impossible to narrow it down to just one band or even one genre for me specifically. I listen to everything, so I don't like to put borders or boundaries on my music.
Yeah, no, me neither. I think I'm gonna start to answer everyone like whatever.
Just answer with
good,
you.
know? Yeah.
You say, when people say to you, "Who's your favorite drummer?" Me.
Yeah. Well, me, of course, and then there are other guys.
You know, that's the safe answer. That's the safe answer you can give.
Yeah, that's true. And I normally do these live things in my drum room. So yeah, when I'm there, I probably am there to focus on myself and my own playing. So yeah, by that time it's me.
Yeah, it's you, exactly.
It's a good answer. Thank you. I'll take it from you.
It's same thing with bands. If they ask you who's your favorite band, mine.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, totally.
You just try to keep things simple.
Yeah.
Well, Jocke, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate you taking the time. You were very nice to me. So you were much nicer to me than you were to Joey Jordison outside of that bus.
Oh, yeah.
you
That's
took
not hard.
the time to chat with me. But in fairness, you did have a shower before this chat. So you were in a much better mood.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just redoing my drum room now. So I was like all sweaty and stuff. So I had to take the shower, and I got now. So yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
Well, thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it. All the best to you and your family, and Happy New Year. And hopefully I get to see you guys on the road at some point this year. I'm really hoping for that. Yeah,
so do I. If we come to your city, let me know.
Yeah, and hopefully, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Hopefully I'll get to come to Summer Breeze in the summer, and I'll see you guys there.
Oh, nice.
So that's what my goal is. But right now, it still seems a little bit distant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. we keep adding these shows for the summer, and I was like, yeah, I really want to go there. I mean, being home is great, but I really miss touring. I do.
Yeah, for me, to be honest with you, it's one of the things I miss the most is the live shows. Not just
Yeah.
seeing you guys perform live, but the interaction with my friends and the shows. It's something that I really miss, and I'm sure you guys, for as much as you enjoy being at home, it's been a long time at home for you guys, way more than normal. So you're itching to get back on the road.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, we've been home. What is it? It's January now, so yeah, almost 10. Exactly 10 months now. So.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a record.
Yeah.
It's a record. Well, Jocke, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. All the best for you and your family and the guys in the band. Once again, thank you for the time, and we'll see you on the road.
Absolutely. My pleasure. And please give my regards to your family as well.
I will. Thank you very much.
Totally. Thank you.
See ya.